Everyone doing today? Welcome to my photography editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream starts and I'll edit them here for you live. Today again, I'll be using DxO Photolab 8, my favorite photo editor, my editor of choice, because I believe it delivers the best results. And I'll have my affiliate links down below if you want to download a free trial. And if you do end up purchasing, I'll of course earn a commission. Which is greatly appreciated and supports the work that I do here, editing your photos and everything else I do for the community. I always do my best. And I also have, channel memberships for 99 cents if you want to support, and of course, direct donations and all of that. All of that said, we got a lot of great images today. I just downloaded them and did a quick sort to separate the photos that. 'Cause I forgot to mention, I also give you my image to download that you can edit. It's always interesting to see what you guys do with my images. Uh, it's a two-way street here. Hopefully, you'll pick up a few tips on how to use DxO Photolab 8 and some of the approaches that I take to editing the images. And it's all very subjective. So, you know, don't take anything that I do to your image as a criticism or um, uh, must do, right? Don't, it's all subjective when it comes to editing. So apologize for starting late, but let me go to the chat real quick and then we'll get right into the editing. And also, it's come to my attention that on the replays of the streams, YouTube puts in a ad like every between 1 and 3 minutes, which makes watching a stream after the fact a pain. Needless to say. So what I'm gonna try and do going forward is it usually takes about an hour or so, but after the stream is done, um, I'm gonna go back and delete like 90% of the ads because I did that on the last few streams that I had, uh, yesterday when someone brought it to my attention, and I deleted like 30 ads out of a 3-hour live stream and left maybe 10 or 20 in there. So it's like every 10 to 15 minutes there'll be an ad instead of every 1 to 3 minutes because that's unacceptable and I don't know why it does that. Uh, but fortunately, there is a way for me to kind of mitigate the number of ads that you see. And I was debating doing a members only uh, photo editing stream and other live streams for members only that would be ad free, right? Because you're paying 99 cents a month. Uh, and even if I let the ads run, I make like $2 or $3 on a live stream through the ads. So I'm like, how is that worth anybody's time? Like, uh, for to watch through and watch like 1 hour of video in a stream, and then maybe watch another hour's worth of ads. Yeah, it surprised me when I really looked at it. So I'm gonna do that, and uh, also I see let's see, Erna 785. Let me go ahead and get into the chat. So I saw this message when I was downloading the images for today's stream, but you asked if I can take a bulb exposure for 30 minutes, say at ISO 200 f4. I'm curious how much noise there will be. So the aperture doesn't matter, but start uh, I did start the the bulb. We're up to about 16 minutes now. So when it hits 30 minutes, it'll automatically stop. And I put the lens cap on because otherwise it'll just be pure white and you won't see any noise. So I had to put the lens cap on to get a black exposure. Other than there might be some minor light leaks into through the lens cap. But so when that's done, we'll take a look at it and see. I did run it for 8 minutes earlier. Uh, I forgot to change the timer from 8 minutes to 30 minutes. And it didn't look like there was much noise. But what I did notice is that between older sensor that we find like in the M5 Mark III and the OM1, versus the newer sensor in the OM1, or in this case, the OM3, the noise was much, much less. So we'll see. We'll see when that's done. We'll take a look at the raw image, and I'll bring it up here for everyone to see. And then is there an ISO 350 setting? I think there is. Basically, you can jump in thirds of a stop. So between 200 and 400 is one stop. So you divide that by 3, you would get basically every 70, right? So you would get like a 270, 340. So yeah, there should be a 340 ISO and then ISO 400. So I guess I don't have to do it in my head. I can look, right? Where's my OM1? Oh. So I have I by default, I set all my exposure settings to one stop increments, but see what I have here. I need to change it in the menu back to thirds of a stop. So it's on menu number 1, sort of down there in the middle. It's hard to see because I got the brightness all the way up. Let me turn the brightness down so you can see that. So right now I have it set to one stop, right? So I'm going to change that to 1/3. So now it's 1/3 of a stop, right? Then if I go into the super control panel, the 250, so 320. The jump, that's 1/3, 320, 400. So that's what it is. Okay. Is it possible to take an overexposed video? For example, if there's moonlight and I want to make it appear as if it was daytime. The problem is in video, you could do it, but you'd have to crank the ISO all the way up, right? So moonlight, the problem with moonlight, it's probably a 2-3 minute exposure at ISO like 100, for example. So if you left the shutter open for 3 or 4 minutes at ISO 100, you'll get pretty much a daylight scene from the moonlight, right? I'm just doing this in my head, right? But video, the slowest shutter speed you can use is 1/24th of a second. So we're talking about, let's say it's 4 minutes. So we're talking about 2 minutes, 1 minute, that's 2 stops, 30 seconds, that's 3 stops, 15 seconds would be 4 stops, 7 seconds would be 5 stops, 3 seconds would be 6 stops, and then we get into the fractions, right? 1.5 seconds would be 8 stops, and then let's say a half a second would be 10 stops. I'm just, my math could be a little off, but we're talking about 10 stops just to get to a half a second. And then to get to a full second would be 11. I'm sorry, to get to that's 0.5, say 0.25, 0.12. We're talking about 14 or 15 stops difference. So I don't know if we have that much range in the ISO, because we can go 200, 400, 800, 16, 32, 64, 12, 25, 52. You only have about 10 stops of ISO. Okay. And then you'd have to have, so you could get like a 0.95 f-stop lens, that would save you a few stops there, right? Between, say, f2 and f.95 is 1, 2, a little over 2 stops difference. It'd be tough to do in video. It'd be really tough because of, you'd be like at least ISO 50,000 with a 0.95 lens. Be able to record video at 124. This is just, I'm just doing this all in my head. It's purely academic. We'd have to actually test for it. But you see where I'm going, right? The problem is the minimum shutter speed in video is 1/24th of a second. And you need to be able to adjust your ISO and aperture to bring in enough light to get a decent exposure at 1/24th of a second. Okay. Let's see. And Roger's here. Good to see you. Dan, good morning. Jeff, always good to see you. And Bert, Paul, Steve, good to see you. And Lynn. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much for supporting the work that I do here. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry I'm like answering all these questions up front, but I thought they were pretty good questions. And my shot is actually from the Corona lockdown. Oh, okay. So it's a little bit older shot. That's cool. And Darko's good to see you. And yeah, I saw you had 2 images. I deleted one. It's no big deal. But it both had your name in it. And really appreciate all you do for us, or I try. I try. And hello, Shri. Good to see you. And also good to see you, Smiley. Okay, so let me pull up the images and see if we can get right into it. And we got 6 more minutes left on the bulb timer, so we'll take a look at that. I don't know if Erna, you're still here or not, but okay, so first image here is a DNG file from, let's see, an OM1 Mark II. So this has been, I assume, already processed a little bit, but or you convert it to DNG for some reason, but that's okay. Looks like I can still edit this as a RAW. Oh, these little buggers. I've seen these guys before, and I love this mushroom. So this is a really interesting image. It's almost like a miniature something, like a miniature scene. I think, let me apply basic preset. So I want to expose for the bugs down here, maybe add some light to the mushroom, and then bring the ambient light down. I don't think we need these guys crawling up here. They're kind of crawling under and going around. Let me see, maybe if we can create a little bit tighter scene. Go right to the local adjustments here and just bring in a little bit more shadow here, here. Right about there looks more natural. And I try and saturate the individual colors here. I have kind of an orangey. Well, that's going to overlap with these. More red, more orange. I'm using the eyedropper to check the color. So we can see that this is closer to the yellows and this is closer to the reds down here, just barely. So I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. Increase the saturation. I don't want to make these too red down here. I'm trying to minimize that. That looks good there. And And I'll try and make the sliders larger here after I finish this image. I forgot to resize my fonts and screen. Uh, I want to add some light to this mushroom. I can do it kind of in a creative way. Do a separate. A little bit more light. Throw some light in. Oops, let's make a new control line here. Light. You warm it up a tiny bit. So we have 51. Let's go to about 55. Okay, and then do another control line down here. And let's just pull the blacks in a bit and cool it off. Maybe not that much. We're at 51. Let's go to about 49. Okay. Just a hint of coolness in there. I liked. Maybe. A little bit more light here. And we'll give it a bit of warmth. Let's add a vignette. So we'll do it manually. Going to just center it, stretch it out, invert it. Oops. Put that in there, invert it. This is the invert button. We'll invert it. Turn the chroma and lumen to 0. Just pull the exposure down. A little bit worried about this crop. We just keep all of the bugs in there like that. Center it. Okay, I think that's it. So, there's the before and after. So the file over here is a little bit flat and dark, right? So I just had to brighten it up, but I didn't want to lose sort of this, I don't know, this lighter area up here, and then bring it darker down here. I want to kind of give it like there's some light coming from some direction. So it's okay. I'm comfortable with this clipping a little bit here. This guy needs a little bit more light. Let me add a little bit of light. A tiny bit here. bit too much. A new one. Okay. All right, now I'm happy. So there's the before and after. I think it works better as a vertical. Yeah, that's a really neat picture. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple things. I need to realign my or redo my screen so that the sliders are larger. Let me do that real quick off camera. See if that made a difference. Yeah, that did. Okay, so we have larger fonts now. And this bulb timer finished. I got a 30-minute bulb, so let me bring that image in. We'll just take a look at how much noise is in there. M1. Put that into okay. Okay. This is the JPEG output. Brighten it up and see. So yeah, there's some noise there. Of course, I had to push it 4 stops to see it. And then if we go to the raw image, here's the raw. Ooh. Oh yeah, DxO doesn't support the OM3 yet. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little trick. If you guys are, for those of you that have the OM3 now, you can get DxO to process them because it's using the same sensor as the OM1 Mark II, right? So all I have to do is file name again, OM3 number 9, OM3, that's the JPEG, raw. All I have to do is go into the EXIF data and change the OM1 Mark II. That should work, and then save. I'll do a video on this one day. There. Now I can open this. So this is the noise without pushing the exposure. And then if I push it 4 stops, yeah, there's a lot of noise there. And the ambient temperature in my room right now is about 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So whatever that is in Celsius. Okay, so Erna, hopefully that answers your question from before. Let me go back to filters. And we'll start the next one. And let me check the chat section real quick. See if I'm still on track here. Good morning, sir. Oh, let's see. William is here. And And tree, okay. So how do you reset OM camera to factory settings? I get asked for date. Oh, that's a little bit more involved, but it can be done. It's not something I can do here in the editing stream, but maybe after I'm done editing everything, but that could be a couple hours from now. But I'll go as fast as I can. Smiley says only DxO. Not sure what you mean here. And Shakib is here. And I'm the Bob Ross of editing. Thanks. And good evening. Hey, Paul. Good to see you. And Dale. Okay, awesome. So let me go back to the screen and we'll get through. Here it is. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we have one here from Roger. Oh, some flowers. Spring is coming. I can't wait. I'm gonna do some really cool flower photography this year. I got some inspiration from some other photographer. I can't remember their name, but I'll give credit when I make the video. All right, so we have a lot of green here. Let me apply basic preset, but I like the the overall. I don't want to call it geometry, but all these wavy lines. When I think of geometry, I think of lines and angles, but really we can talk about anything, right? This is more of a calculus, so forget all these curves and everything, so we'll call it calculus. I think what I'll do is I'll try and darken the background a little bit more, add a little more warmth here in the base, and then bring out some of the flowers. The composition just needs a little crop on the left side, maybe. So let's go over here. Pull that in. No, maybe just a tiny bit. I don't know, maybe the composition is fine. Or come in here so we can get a little bit better. Yeah, let's try this. I'm just going to get rid of this one distracting element there. Okay. Let's try. I'm going to tighten up the Luma mask so I don't affect midtones, because we got mostly midtones here on this stem. I'm going to pick a darker area. There we go. And let's just pull the exposure. Well, that's just darken the background a little bit. Then down here, we'll stay mostly in the midtones here. We'll raise that and give it a little bit of warmth. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is pull the highlights on these flowers a little bit. Tighten the Luma mask just a little bit there. Maybe there. Let's just pull the highlights in. I wonder if some micro contrast might bring some of the detail out. That's a little bit. Yeah, and then let's add some by the vibrancy and see if we can bring out a little bit. There's a tiny bit of yellow in this area here. So let's saturate the yellows and the reds individual. There we go. Yeah. It's a little more surreal now, but I think we're okay. All right. Very subtle because the flowers are so tiny. It's okay. And then I will just need to, other than that, let me just pull a little bit in here. That last one didn't work. All right. I guess there's still something. I'm not seeing here. Back to the crop. A little bit taller. Get rid of this one element here. Breaks. I'm going to export this. Oh, preserve color. Okay, looks good. Let that export. By name. That as a reference. Reset it. Okay. So here's the original on the left and my edit on the right. I really wanted to get closer to the flowers. I like all the waviness going on here, but I like the flowers more. So if we punch in, I just wanted you to see the difference. Are we looking at the same? Yeah. I just want to see the difference better because what I'm seeing on my screen is it's always hard to share in a live stream the amount of detail and everything that I can bring back, or the subtle differences in color and tone. So I'm punching in here what looks like 160%. But yeah, I wanted to bring out the color in the stems, in the center of the flower, whatever that's called. And then, of course, all the noise reduction, as usual, does a great job. So, yeah, I think that worked out pretty well. Okay. We'll go to the next one here. I just need to reset my filter. Why am I? Oh, here. We're almost back. All right. The next one. Okay, now I understand your comment. Only DxO to DNG. Okay. And Paul says you rather use sliders. I use numbers and type the numbers. Stops me from going overboard. I type the number, then I can go up or down on that number or the corresponding slider. Okay. Um, let's do, this is from Lasse. We got to straighten this horizon, maybe. And these people are just walking. So I think if they were ice skating or something, sort of this Dutch angle look might work. But these people are just kind of walking there. So I'm gonna straighten the horizon. Let me apply basic preset first. Then what are the interesting elements here? There's some light over here on the left on these fences. We got some long shadows. Then we got this really interesting mix of trees and geometry. I like the juxtaposition here of nature and man-made, right? On this side. And then these people walking. And I don't think I need anything here on the left side. So I'm just going to go with a vertical. Maybe. Me just straighten the horizon a bit. And oh, I don't know. It's a little bit lower angle though. What if I keep the snow? No, I like it up here. Okay, so I'll go with that. And now I can see it's not quite straight. Maybe, let me see if I do this. Okay, go with that. Now, I want to try to, this is a scene where there's not like any single subject, right? So I'm thinking maybe try to just make all the elements in the image subject, right? Look at some, kind of brainstorm a bit here. Hmm. Yeah, we need to be we need to be a lot brighter. So a couple of stops. And excuse me. So I think, oh, we need color or not. Try. Yeah, I kind of like the black and white. Let me go back to color. As a color, I don't think it's really accenting the picture. And we're not losing the building behind the trees when we go to black and white because of the windows have some pretty good strong reflections. So I think we're okay. Uh, but what I want to do is maybe accentuate some of the shadows. If I can do that, try. Make a very, very tight luma mask. Just bring those shadows in. Okay, works. And maybe I can do something with these windows. Okay, that works. Okay, I think that's it. Let's just do a quick comparison. Oh, sorry. Let me make this the reference. Oh, crap. Not what I wanted to do. Uh, pair with the, there we go. All right, so we have the original here on the left side. Like I was saying, I didn't see anything on the left side that was useful or interesting, and it's a little bit chaotic. Most of what I found interesting was right in here. You know, like I was saying, this line of trees juxtaposed against this building, and these people are just walking. So I think that works, and I like the long shadows. So I tried to increase the contrast of the shadows, you know, just via the luma mask and drawing a linear gradient. So that works. I think that looks a lot better. Uh, right there. And then, of course, straightening the horizon. Okay, let's go to next one here from Dan. And okay, we got a guy fishing. Minor distraction up here. What is that? Fence line. Okay. And then I like the ice down here. So question is, do we do my basic preset first. My question, compositionally, let me just look at a couple of different cropping options here. If I do a super wide, then I can get rid of that left side. If I can get any of these lines. I like that. Another option would be maybe a vertical. I think that might be about right. That's pretty close. Do a 5x4. I don't want to lose this wavy line right here. This sort of little S. I like the ice, but we have a lot of ice here that I think is fine. Bring it down. It's not quite even. It's a slight tilt. Just looking at what I'm cropping out. I don't know if this little S curve is enough to make the picture stand. I mean this crop. So look at the horizontal again. 16:9. I like that a little better. Vertical, I just couldn't get this S curve to work. This feels a little more balanced. I think this has all the information we need, right? We know it's cold because he's wearing a jacket and there's ice. We have it split. I'm looking at it very analytically. I'm not looking at it from an artistic point of view, but I'm trying to compose the elements using sort of the rules of composition. Tilted this just a bit too much. Okay, that looks good. Bothering me here is this little bit too much weight here on the left. If I move it all the way over, him on the edge. Back to a 16:7. Put that right in half. Okay, I like this. I don't know, the reason I like this because it just feels like more like a it almost feels like more like a stock what do you call it? Uh uh what you call what sorry that message popped up there. Um not clip art, stock photo. It looks like a stock photo when I do it this way, because it leaves all this room for text and everything. But somehow, I don't know why I like it though, like this. But I kind of got mixed feelings because now it looks more like a stock photo. But I'm gonna go with this. I think this composition is the best. So let's just do a global brightening because it feels a bit underexposed. Did you dial in some exposure comp maybe? Yeah, you dialed in -1. I'm gonna add that one stop back in. I assume you did that to, kind of keep the highlights in control. Now let's do some local adjustments here. Work on the sky, tighten the luma a little bit. Add some clear view. Maybe some micro contrast. Oh, there's a little bit of color here too. That's interesting. Let me try and bring the color in. Uh, Mostly in this yellow red area, I think. Ooh, I'm getting the guy in the shot though. Tilt it. I'm gonna just warm it up a tiny bit too. What might be better is control point. Add a control point there. Okay. Tiny bit there. Original control line, if I can. That. Separate it this way. Okay. All right, let's do something with the ice. And clear view and micro contrast. Not quite that much, but a lot of micro contrast and speculars. Do that. Okay. Maybe let me just eyeball. Yeah, I think I like the color. It's just a little bit, the blues are a little bit too strong, so let me, if I can warm this image up a bit. Oh, why am I? Light color. Where did which control line is jacking that up? Let me, hold on. It's this control line. Did I shift the white balance? I did. So, all right, let's try this again. A little bit less green. Do a control point. Small. Okay, I'm going to export this. Original, oh, that looks good. Because there's a ton of noise in this image. I had to push it one stop. And this Deluxe 7, cool. Cool, cool, cool. I have an LX100 Mark II and a Deluxe 8 actually. Okay. Reset. This image as a reference. And we'll compare it with output. Okay. So in this case, the original here is on the right, and this is my edit here on the left. So essentially, it just basically we had to bring the exposure back up. I don't think you needed to dial in a -1, although it's a good practice, right? In terms of trying to preserve highlights, but this scene, is not really that high dynamic of a range. Um, I think the camera already did a good job because, the speculars here in the ice are going to throw the metering off a little bit to be kind of underexposed already. So dialing an additional one stop really wasn't necessary, but I get why you did. It's a good practice. So it didn't hurt the image too much, other than I did have to definitely denoise it a bit because when I brought the exposure back up, a lot of the noise came back in. But I think we're okay. So a little bit warmer sky here. There was just a hint of it in the raw image that I wanted to bring back. And then compositionally, I like I said, I got mixed feelings about it looking like a stock photo, but I think this composition kind of works the best. So if we look at it, um, all by itself, I think that works pretty well. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. One is from Shri. And gosh, did you find white swans? This looks a lot like Bombay Hook, maybe. Did you go to Bombay Hook without me, Shri? um, let's see what we can do here. I think. Nice wide shot. Kind of works. Maybe not that wide. Let's try and keep some of the foliage. I think foliage is a little bit interesting here. I was up in Loudoun County. Wow. I mean, that's almost as far as Bombay Hook for me, but um, not because of the distance, but because of the frickin' traffic between my house and Loudoun County. I could go all the way to Bombay Hook in the same amount of time. Let's give it a little there. And what the heck did you shoot with on this? This is your 300 f4. You're on one. Okay. F5. No teleconverter. Okay. Oh, I didn't apply my optical corrections. So let me do that again and kind of come back in. Just do right about there. Let's bring these highlights in of the geese. Not geese, these are swans, I think. Micro contrast. Then let's work on the beaks. I mean, when I do birds, it's always beaks, eyes, talons, but these are so far away that it's not the first thing I'm going to work on. Let me just make those a little bit stronger. There's a little bit of red or yellow in here too. You get this guy. There's a couple of ducks. I forget what these are called. Male and female. I bet these are male and female swans. I don't know. Could be. Push the. Okay. Looking good. Now, this brownish, I can't wait for spring. Everything is so brown. We have some yellows and reds up in here. I don't know if I can isolate those enough. I'm going to try. Yikes. Okay, so it looks like I can isolate those a little bit. Get up into the corner. If I can get those, let's try just vibrancy. We'll pick that. All right, good. And we'll do the same thing in the water. I want to highlight some of the blues. Oh. First, let me get the water a little bit shiny. Do it this way. We'll shift it white balance just a little bit cooler. Oh, let's see, we're at 57. Let's just go to 55. Then another control line. I'm going to try and stay in these browns. Just make that a little bit glossy. Okay. Pull the blacks in maybe. Okay. Good there. Maybe another one right up in here. And let's make a new control line. Let me try upside down maybe. Yeah. Tighten up the chroma. I really want to just be on the browns. Just moving the eyedropper around. And I'm watching the masking. Okay. Now what I'd like to do If I can shift this. Yeah, just a tiny bit to the reds. This down. Full of saturation. Okay. I was just there's some leaves and stuff here on the foreground that I wanted to separate out. And I wanted to separate whatever these things are. Oh, something with the geese need to fix. I keep calling them geese. They're swans. I want to do pull more micro contrast. Pull this back and a little clear view. Like more pull to the highlights. Ah, too much. Okay. Go back. Okay, I'm going to call it there. Let me export this. And see where we're at here. Okay. Oops, let me reset it and pair it with the output. Okay, so oh, there's some greens up there I missed. Well, that's all right. A little bit too crispy here on the left side. So I would dial back some of the micro contrast over here. But overall, this is the composition and color that I wanted, emphasizing this blue and these oranges here, and then separating the leaves a little bit more with the reds against, say, the grass, and then, of course, bringing some of the detail back on these swans. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. This is one of the characteristics of the 300 millimeter f4 is in the background here, you notice that the out of focus areas are a little stringy, right? It's not completely smooth. So when you're shooting with this lens, and it's not as bad as, say, like the Fresnel lenses from Nikon. Fresnel lenses have terrible, terrible out of focus areas. But this is why you definitely don't want to use any kind of UV filters or yeah, UV filters on this lens, the 300 f4, is it exaggerates this sort of noodly, stringy out of focus area even more. So just keep that in mind when you're shooting with this lens. What is the background? If it's really busy like this, you're gonna have to contend with this a little bit. Sometimes what I do is I go back and post-processing and soften the contrast and everything so it's not quite as strong. And it's not affecting this image too much. But let's just look at this a little closer. But yeah, I think this composition works. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got one. Oh, that's mine. This one I think was emailed in because I don't have I forget who emailed this one, but they asked me to make sure to put this in. So here it is. So let's do an optical correction. And whenever you do really tall buildings like this, you really need to make sure you leave a lot more headroom at the top if you can. So this is what a kit lens. No, this is the 15 millimeters. So yeah, it's not really wide enough, and probably you couldn't get back any further. So, and the reason I say you leave more headroom at the top is because when you want to start to do some optical corrections, it gets cut off, right? But I think I'm gonna have to live with that. Let's see. I like the lighting here behind the windows. There's nothing about this steeple is interesting. It's got some lights on it. But basically, yeah, this is not the right lens for this image. It's just not wide enough. So we're gonna ignore a lot of this. Try 3 by 2. So yeah, forget that. Three. I have some minor distortions here. But I will give you credit for the horizontal. What the heck? This thing got 3 bricks here. No, it's not on a hill. Back out. Something I did is messing with the perspective distortions. All right, that's close. Ugh, not quite centered. It's tough to do on such a big structure. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. I'll be here all day trying to fix the perspective distortions. They're very subtle, but there's a bunch of them. And again, I wish there's more separation of this tungsten lighting or yellow lighting that's inside. No, these are clipped, so come in just a bit here. Black and white. bit gritty. Do some control points. I have to be a little bit more flexible. If I can use these channel mixer, bring the doors up. Doors were red, right? No, they're more of a brown. Okay. When the channel mixer yellows, back. Go ahead. Go off slightly. Okay. So with architecture or buildings in general, I always like the doors to stand out. You can separate those a little bit more. Okay. Like that, up in there. That door's already pretty well illuminated, so it doesn't need quite as much. Do just a little. Probably clear view might be enough. Okay. I think that's it. Let me export. Done. The output. All right. So again, the image on the right, the angle is just it's too tilted, and there's not enough margins around the edges to really do a decent perspective correction and make it look natural. Because the building, you're just your sensor's tilted back a little bit too far. That's the main issue. So I did my best over here to sort of just crop into an area just enough so that uh, you don't see that perspective distortion quite as much. So, because if I tried to include all of this up here, even if I could get the perspective perfect, it would look weird. So I try to minimize that by cropping in just to the lower half of this building. But I didn't want to lose sort of the lighting in this window. I didn't do quite as good a job here as I like to. I should have brightened the interior windows a little bit more. But I think it works as a black and white because the image is pretty much monotone anyway. Uh, because it's basically just yellow light with a couple of red doors. Other than that, there's no color in this image. So, and I'm partial to black and white anyway. But okay, I hope you like that one. Like I said, I'm so sorry I can't remember who sent it now, but there you go. Okay, we got one here from Jordan. This is interesting. This is all about the geometry. These are windows. This is a really interesting image. What is down here? Oh, this is what this is. Okay. I like the speculars right here. There's just, it's all reflective, so there's speculars everywhere. Can I apply the preset yet? Let's do that. And obviously, let's try and work with the color though, because the color coming in is interesting. Got some greens and reds. Sure. Push the greens and go to the reds. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And let's do some clear view. Where is that? Here. Push the highlights again. All the blacks, tones. Okay, so compositionally, I'm going to get rid of this bottom left and then try and balance. Maybe not have that top part. Too much on the right. So let's try square crop. Give this a little more headroom. The shadow and the highlights. Okay, let me export this. And reset and just do a comparison with the output. Okay. All right, so here's the original on the right. This is my edit on the left. So right away I saw these greens and reds in the image, so I wanted to accentuate that. The oddball was just this corner here, and then this bottom corner here. These two didn't balance out too well, so that's why I cropped them out. And this square crop I think works. I would spend some more time on the actual crop, but just in the interest of time, this is pretty close to what I would crop it to in terms of the final image. And of course, we got rid of most of the noise and the detail. If you compare, like I was looking at whatever this was, it looks a lot better. So go back to, oops, that's not the screen I wanted. Wanted to get this back to a side by side. But I think that looks really good. I might even push the greens a little bit more, especially up in this part. All right. See what's next here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, we got 7 more images. All right, so let me I need to take a 2-minute break here. So just give me about 2 minutes and then I'll be right back. So this how long have I been on? About an hour and a half. So this is a good time for a little intermission. So give me 2 minutes and I'll come back. How's that? There we go. Now we got audio. Okay, thanks for that right there. I hope everyone didn't mind that. Okay, so let's see. We have next up image here from Paul. And let's see. A couple of these birds. I guess these are ducks of some kind, but man, look at those talons. Those are ginormous. Never seen ducks like this before. They're not even ducks, I don't think, because they don't have like, they have like really sharp beaks. Ducks don't usually have sharp beaks. Okay, so let's do a square crop. Let me do a basic preset. And actually, let's try 3x2. Well, these are coots. Okay. Thanks, Shri, or Shakib. Eurasian coots. Okay, Paul, I got it. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen these before in real life. So I wonder why they're fighting. There's maybe something to do with it. If they're fighting at all, maybe they're mating. Question is, this guy right here is kind of an oddball, but it's interesting. Compositionally, this is kind of in the way, but at the same time, it tells part of the story, so you got to leave it there. So I'm going to definitely bring out the eyes and talons. The beak's already pretty well exposed. And then the water, I don't know if we can, it's a little bit too tight on the left side. So we'll have to leave the water as is. But let's exaggerate. See if I can bring the eyes in at all, if they're even visible. Yeah, they got red eyes. Cool. Okay. So we definitely need to. Let me bring the exposure up so I can position this properly. Right there. Okay. So I'll do that. Maybe push the reds directly. Just like that. Then we'll do the same thing over here. This one's a little bit out of focus, but yeah, that's okay. Maybe stretch it a bit. And I don't think we can see the eye is hidden on that guy. So let's see if I can push it a little bit more. I might have to do I'm gonna have to do a separate control point for this guy. There and there. A little bit in here. Okay, let's do the talons. Man, I've never seen talons like that before. That's really interesting. Okay. Get this a little smaller. Okay, now. A little bit more light. Maybe on this guy. This This doesn't need light so much as it needs some contrast. There and there. Same thing with this guy, some contrast. Just so we can see. Then the water. Let's tighten up the luma a little bit. Okay. A bit of push. Oh, no, no. I'm missing something here. This part is getting... Okay. That right in here. Just a little bit more. Okay, now a control line. Some more work on the water here. Whoops. I want to focus on more of the blues. Just the blue, okay. Maybe do that. A little bit of warmth. Okay, let's export that. Get ready. I'm going to compare it to the output. Reset it. All right, so clearly we need to crop in, and I assume this was a burst shot, so you kind of picked the best one in terms of the position, because I imagine you have somewhere it's framed a little better, but the position of the, you know, the position of the birds and their particular, you know, getting the talons up like that, I think this is the shot you picked because of the talons. And I brought out the red eyes. It's a little bit of haloing here, so I'd have to make the control points a little smaller, so just ignore that. But this was important, I think, seeing the eye here compared to, you know, the original, you could just barely see the eye in there, if at all. And, you know, and of course, the micro contrast and sharpening and optical corrections and all that just made this a lot better, because this looks a little soft, right? The bird here on the right is a little out of focus, but that's just a depth of field issue, right? That's not because of the lens. I think that looks good. So if we just look at this image, other than some minor haloing here, which I could correct, you know, by making the control point smaller, I think this is a good shot. And this was important. This little guy here, is part of the story. I don't know if this is like a baby coot or whatever, but uh, normally, if this was like a branch or some other weird object, I would have cropped this a little bit more square and brushed this out. But obviously I can't because it's part of the story, I think. So I think that's a great picture. Okay. Let's see. John. So there's a comment here from John. So Paul said that edit of the Coots is very similar. That's cool. Let me see. I remember there's a comment from John. It says, "Hi, Roderick. Hi, John. My image today is one of my first trying high res with the OM2. Seems to reduce contrast in the scene." Okay. I've not noticed that myself, but the difference in contrast I think you might be seeing is that high res shot mode is not. It does blend pixels together, so you're losing a little bit, I think, of contrast. So that's probably what you're seeing. Yeah, you're seeing less contrast. I get it. At the pixel level, it's hard to see when you're looking at the image straight on. But there's a lot of flaring in here too. So that it's harder to do apples to apples comparison between high res and not high res in terms of contrast with this image because of already there's lens flare. But wow, you normally send in images with your Nikon DF, I think, right? So that's cool. I didn't realize you still had your OM1. Let's see. Unless this is a recent purchase. So I think compositionally we're good. I like this tree. I wish it was a little more dominant in the scene. So I might have even shot a little bit wider, but you're on a 17, you're on a prime anyway, so you would have had to back up. And then I don't know if the composition would be the same at that point, but I like the composition. This tree and this row of trees back here seem to go together pretty well. The lens flare, we're going to have to embrace that somehow because it's really hard to correct these things. So I did the basic preset, I think. So we need to... Oh, you know what I've done really well here is a polarizer. Get rid of these reflections because these are all clipped. This is going to be hard to deal with. The best I can do, I don't think they're coming back. Yeah, there's a little bit there. So let me just try and fix some of these highlights. It looks like these are the only ones that have a little bit of room. Not even that one. And that's gone. And these are gone. Okay, and then we'll do a new one for here. Just trying to bring back some of this water. And then see if we can amplify the greens a bit. Let's try a very tight control line. And just tighten up the luma a bit. Not the luma, I'm sorry, the chroma. go with some vibrance and a slight pull on the exposure, maybe clear view. Okay, that okay, that works. That's tight. Okay. Slightly too much there. Okay. And then let's do let's see what we can do about this sky. Probably not much, but tighten that up a bit. Yeah, these are clipped, so just bring it down a tad. And some micro contrast. And what are we doing here? It's very subtle. Okay. I think what I might do is just get rid of the sky. Don't know the 5x4 crop. Yeah, I like that a little better. And then this minor halo here. Feather a little bit less. A spot here. Nope, we're not going to be able to get rid of these too well. Yeah, that's fine. There's a tiny bit here. No, I'm not going to be able to get rid of that one. All right. So just a couple other touch-ups and then we'll move on. Okay. So a little bit of touch-up here and here. Just a little push in the shadows. Some micro contrast, yeah. Yeah, this scene really needed a polarizer, I think. Okay. Let me export this. Somebody says my sound is. Okay. Hopefully that sound is better. Let me reset this compared to the output. All right, so I think I could have maybe, let me see. I think I can still fix that. Hold on. Let me try a different control point. That one blob is stressing me. If I just pick the green. And then add some contrast. That. Okay, that's a little better. I could spend a little more time on it. Like there's a little bit of a purple here, still a little bit of green in here, but dang it, this is bothering me. Okay, that's a little better. And then let's get rid of some of the purple here. All right, that's all I'm going to do. I just kind of want to give you an idea of how I approach these kind of things sometimes. Give that a second to export. Oops. Yeah, that, compare, reset. All right. So, yeah, I didn't see any reason to keep the sky. And, you know, there's this big blob here, so even more reason to get rid of the sky. Now these flares here are much more mitigated without taking away from the scene, right? Fortunately, there wasn't much color here anyway. So just desaturating this area and pulling the highlights a little bit and adding clear view. These kind of things kind of mitigate these lens flares like that are undesirable. And then I use a spot healer for the little blue dots that I was getting everywhere. The other thing is here, the water is super reflective and the highlights are clipped. So this is where, like, if you had a polarizer on hand, that would fix, you know, basically this problem. But I just had to work with it as is, right? So I tried to bring out the rocks and stones down in here, because right here, you know, this is where clear view can help a little bit. If it hasn't been clipped, you can use clear view in lieu of a polarizer. When they're completely clipped, then yeah, you have to use a polarizer, and that would get rid of a lot of that. But other than that, I think this is a nice image. It was pretty much well composed already from the start. All I had to do is crop out the sky, and then work with the greens the best I can to bring those out. And I like this line right here. Over here, there's a whole other shot. I don't know if you can walk up to about this point, maybe on this rock, and incorporate more of this. You know, I like this landscape right in here. Just the way all the lines intersect in this row of trees with this the water sort of being the foundation. But okay, let's go to the next one. And we have a cat here from Shikabe. And I see there's a quick question here. Any idea when OM3 will be adding OM3 camera to his camera modules? My hope is on April 15th when they release the camera raw update. Possibly. But I showed earlier in this stream how I can edit OM3 files using DxO. I should try and make a video on that so everybody can do it. But basically, you rename the EXIF data and change the camera model from OM3 to OM1 Mark II, and then DxO will recognize it. So if you look at earlier in the stream, I did that. But if you don't know how to install EXIF, GUI, and all of that, it can be a little trickier, but I'm sure you can figure it out. You won't need to wait for my video to come out. It's called EXIF tool, I think, is the core of how I did that. Okay, let's see. Let's do a basic preset. And I like the tail in the shot here. Assuming it's the same cat, or that it's one cat and not a second cat. But it looks like it's the tail of this cat because the depth of field is really shallow here. You can tell from the floor because it goes from a little out of focus to a lot. We're going to have to deal with these clipped highlights a little bit, bring out the blue in the eyes, maybe the red in the ears and nose, and maybe minimize this wall. But we have the floor, so I think it's okay if we leave the wall there. I was trying to make it a little bit more, my thinking being to make it a little bit more neutral what location this cat is in, where it could be outside, could be inside, you can't tell. But because of the floor and the wall, you can tell this is an indoor shot. But anyhow, let's see. Oops. Let's see about just bringing the highlights in, maybe. Okay. And then let's bring in the eyes. Oops. Need a smaller. And we're just going to push the blue. Well, let's do vibrance. And then we'll add some saturation. Okay. And I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going to tighten up the chroma mask. So I only want to affect the whites. What was I going to do here? Some micro contrast. And the red is now starting to stand out quite a bit. But I want to desaturate a little bit. Just the whites. Okay. So that's why I tightened up the chroma, because I only want to affect the whites. So how are we doing here? Too much on the highlights. Still too much. Maybe not so much. Okay. Let's see. Okay, that works for me. Then, I don't think compositionally I need to do anything. Let me see. Get rid of that wall. About this floor. I tighten up the chroma. And the luma. I should be able to get rid of this. Okay. All right, I see how we're doing here. Yeah, okay, so I can separate those just enough. And then let's go back to the eye. A little more color there. Let's see if we can just isolate the blues. A little bit of pull. Highlights. Okay, I'm going to call it there. Because that's about 90%. And we'll give that a second. I wonder if I missed an opportunity here to warm, nah. I could, let me try something real quick. Nope. Let's try control line. And just deal with, yeah, something like that. That looks terrible. Yeah, that's not going to work. If I do it with a control point, I can't really get it the way I want. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it. So there's that. All right. So I'm going to reset and just do a side by side. So here's the original image on the right. We're really close. I just added a little more blue to the eyes and then darkened the wall and the floor so that it's a little bit more neutral, the location of where this cat is. Not that it is a problem if you know where the cat is, indoors or outdoors, but I just like to add a little bit less information around the cat so that the focus is really on the cat, on the eyes, you know, and the fur and everything else. So I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Oh, Shikabe says there was an indoor shot And light was coming in from the door. Okay, cool. And you sent an edit. Okay, cool. We'll take a look at what you did. Let's see. Oh, it's right here. No, that's my edit. Okay. I'll find it. Let me get to Bert's image here. And well, let me just do it since we're here. Your image has got to be, this is your edit. So we'll set that as the reference. Compare it with. Huh. What is, how come I can't do this? This is a reference. Okay. All right, there we go. So this is Shacabe's edit. That's mine. So Shacabe really pulled the highlights back in, and now you can see a lot of the color in this cat in the fur. Whereas I kind of went the opposite direction. I kind of like this glowy, high key image a little more. So I went a different direction, and I just wanted the eyes to kind of stand out more. But this is a good edit too. And looks like you went the same approach to try to minimize the information around the cat about where it is. I like that. But yeah, looks really good. Yeah, two very different edits of the same creature. That's interesting. I like yours too, though. Okay, let's go back to the library. All right, Bert. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So what the heck is going on, though? What is... I mean, I can see these clearly somebody made a bench here with some old furniture to kind of give the back. That's a cool shot. Okay. So basic preset, and I don't know if I need to do really much compositionally because everything is in context here. Maybe just tighten up. Into here? No, that looks weird. Maybe right there. Yeah, just a little bit tighter. Yeah, this is a little bit too messy over here. So just slight tilt. Okay. All right, let's try black and white. Yeah. I want to separate this and this, so might have to do local, just some local control points via tighter Luma mask. And we'll just brighten. Let's come in a lot tighter. Okay. Bring that in. Okay. Let's see, over here. I think all we need to do is some clear view. A little bit of highlight. I could probably crop out these buildings too. That might... I'd have to go a little bit wider. Come in a little tighter. Okay, and then where's my... Oops. Let's try this. Or chroma. Okay. And then just a little bit more light kind of around here. Okay. Now some global and some global contrast here. Give it a little brightness. Okay, so we'll call it there. Let's compare to... Okay, so again, original image on the left and my edit on the right. So yeah, I was kind of debating to keep these buildings in the background, but decided to just get rid of it. And this far right over here was just a little bit messy. So I didn't see a need to keep that if I can get all of the chairs here, or the backs here in the frame. And then I made the flower pot here sort of the brightest thing in the scene. So ideally your eye kind of starts here, then follows the chairs, then comes back around to see the grass. So you kind of got a spiral action going in terms of the composition. But yeah, I think it works well in black and white. Okay. Let's see. Okay. This one here. Oops. Who is this one? This one is yeah, William. Okay, William. Let's do... Oh, I can't tell. Is this branches growing out of this stump? This would have been more interesting if this were in, like, not the winter time. So that if these had leaves on it, this would be a really interesting shot. Gosh, I'm not sure what to do except exaggerate. Let's do a basic preset. We don't need that much stone work. And yeah, I'm sorry, William. I don't know what to do with this image. Tighten up the chroma mask, add some clear view, other than just to bring out the details that are already here. No, seeing if I can separate some of the colors. Ah, not really. Just desaturate that a little. Okay, I think that's all I can do here. So yeah, just a tighter crop into the tree stump there with the branches growing out of it. And then, yeah, we don't need this much brick. Excuse me, stone. We don't need this much stone in the shot. It's just weighing the picture down. And then to bring out a little bit of the sky or details in the sky. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see. Photo library. Okay, we have a fox. Oh, that's interesting on the nose. So, yeah, okay. This ear's cut off. So this is a really tight. So I can probably go even tighter. Since we're already cropping parts of the fox out. I think we can stay right in here. Maybe get rid of the side. This, gosh, was this fox just like laying in your backyard? I wonder. I had to go in this tight, but I'm just trying to think. I thought the nose, I don't know why, but these little black streaks in the nose, I don't know if that's from a fight or if that's the way his fur is. But I imagine that's from fighting little creatures that he catches. These look like scars. Okay, let's go in really tight. So let's bring in the eyes. Just go with the clear view, push the highlights. Just give those eyes a lot more contrast. Okay. Then I think that's it. Maybe just a little bit of shine on the nose. So we'll do that with some clear view. Micro contrast, just a slight bump. Okay, I think that's it. Let's export that. Give that a second. All right, so here's an image on the right. Looks like just a local, like a fox that just came in from, you know, just sitting out by your house or something. And then this one here, again, I'm just getting rid of the elements that might identify where you took this picture, where the fox is. So this image here looks, you know, it's about the fox, whereas this is, yeah, it's about the fox, but because of the context of this shingle, or, yeah, this is weird, or maybe it's a paver. There's kind of bird crap on it, so this must be a shingle. Anyway, yeah, and the foliage in the background. I think this image is has a little more continuity, or I don't know. I don't know how to articulate this, but I like this crop on the left. And then all I had to do is, you know, make the nose a little bit shinier and the eyes, and that was it. Okay. And let's see. I see a comment here. The bee photo is mine. I don't see anything else. But if anybody uploaded stuff since I started, I'm going to have to do it next week because we're already running 2.5 hours. So let's look at how you guys did with my image. So my original image is, which one? This one. So make this the reference. So this is at Sandy Point Park in Maryland. And we're going to compare this, and then we'll start with, let me do reference, just RGBs. Okay, so this is the original image that I took, and this is the edit. This one is from Chicabe. Okay, so nice 16:9 crop, white border. Yeah, good realistic processing here. Good contrast. This is probably very similar to what I did. I have a slightly different shot of the same thing, but I'll show you the edit that I did later. But yeah, this is a good crop, and a good processing. I like it. Let's go to the next one. This one is from Jeff. Okay, another 16:9 crop. Very, very similar to Shakab's crop. And yeah, good processing. Brought out the highlights in the sky a little more. And everything looks good. Okay. And let's see, this one is, okay, this one we just looked at, I thought. Or, okay, so we got two from Shakab. So Shakab went, I like this. This is like a 16:7. I like this a little better, actually. I like this really wide crop. I'm just partial to it. And there's some vignetting here that you added, looks like. Looks good. Yeah. And let's see, this one, that one we looked at. This one is from Shri. Oh, that's cool, Shri. This good black and white. It feels like it has a very, very slight sepia tone, but that might be just midtones sometimes throw me off like that. But yeah, that's a nice edit, Shri. Very nice black and white. And let's see. This one here is from Paul. Oh, wow. Really strong colors here. Yeah, it's almost like a pop art filter, but you really focused in on the blue color. That's cool. Okay. Good job separating the tones in the sky. That works. This one also from Paul. This is a complete conversion to sort of a night scene. Not bad. Not bad. The only thing is, oh, excuse me. I would have probably added a little bit more highlights just on some of the waves here, but other than that, everything looks really good. There's a little bit of harsh cutoff here on this light. Maybe stretch that out. But it looks like there's some other corrections going on here too. Because this break here, I don't see that break over here. Okay, I think that's a good start. It's still some more work to do, but I think this has a lot of potential. Oops, and then this one here from Lasse. Okay, Lasse went with a 16:9, it looks like, but a little bit more to the right. So yeah, this is technically more balanced, I think. Although I prefer sort of like this crop, where there's a little more empty space on the right, but I can see why this crop and this crop, I didn't notice it earlier, but now I can see it. Lasse did a very similar crop. This is a little more balanced. So I can see either one. Either way works pretty well. Okay, and then let's see. Here is from Bert. Okay, Bert. So, wow, this is interesting. You got rid of the blue sky, made it very warm. Interesting. And then the same, a very, very balanced crop. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I prefer this too. I don't know. I think either way works. Either cropping with space on the left or balancing the scene with more of a crop to the right side. Okay. And then the last one here from Dan. Okay. Oh, I like the little accent here you put on the front and on the lighthouse. And I see a little bit here. That's cool. Okay. And a little bit of touch in here. So see a lot of inspiration there, but you didn't mess with the white balance too much or the color overall. You just added some accents. So very minimal editing. and a balanced crop. That's cool. Okay, I think let me see. I didn't edit this picture exactly. I left that for you guys to do. But this is the same ship before it got to the lighthouse. So this was my edit. I did a 16:9 and no lighthouse and no rocks. It's just the ship itself. But yeah, I put a lot of work into the sky. The water was pretty straightforward, just clear view. But I put a lot of work into the sky and the white balance. But the lighting was just terrible this morning. Despite this beautiful glow in the sky, everything else was just awful. So this was a tough edit. There's some other shots. If you go to my Flickr page, you can see like 6 shots that I did from that particular photo walk. But yeah, the lighting was just, it was basically soft lighting with this very, very subtle glow. It's just terrible, the lighting. So it was tough to edit. But I did like the scene, and I like the balance here of the lighthouse, the ship, and the rock. So we have 3 distinct elements. It was coming together for me. I just wish the lighting was better. I'm gonna have to go back here when the lighting is better. All right. So Ellie is here. Hi, baby. Are you hungry, or you want to go out? Let's go. I gotta let her out later. So, all right, we're going. Get down. Get down. Stay. Okay. So nothing else there in the chat really, but you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for sending your images in for me to edit. If you submitted any since I started, I'm gonna have to do those next week. So I'll try and do those. And again, thank you so much for editing my images, sending your images in. It's always a lot of fun to edit, and you guys have a great weekend. I'll be back this Sunday for a regular photo chat live stream. So if you have any questions and just want to talk about something, just let me know. But I need to take my girl out. So thanks again. We'll see you guys again soon. All right, we're going. You ready? Let's go.